In fact, they were saying they're going to tax single people $17,000 a year after the age of 30 if they don't have children.
Hi guys, welcome back to my YouTube channel. Today I will be talking about something I saw on TikTok called marriage boot camp. If you guys have not heard about this, you should definitely keep watching this video because this is extremely interesting. Let's just jump right in. I came across this on TikTok and then went to kind of search about it online, and I found two articles that basically broke down in depth about what this is. So I'm going to go through it right now, and I'm also going to link both of the articles in the description below. So Project 2025 creators proposed something called marriage boot camp. So this is a new report from the Heritage Foundation. And basically the whole point of marriage boot camp is they would like to strengthen the American family. And marriage camps are supposed to be for people that are either unmarried or they have two child families. So they have at least two children. So the Heritage Foundation is basically urging the federal government to save and restore the American family. They're basically kicking off the midterm with a call for conservatives to focus more on domestic issues. The ultimate guidance of the foundation is to encourage and protect the formation of families in America. So I don't know if you guys have ever heard of this Heritage Foundation. I don't follow politics a whole lot, so I haven't really heard of it. The report basically calls on Trump to issue a series of executive orders requiring every grant, contract, policy, regulation to give preference to actions that support American families. So that is basically the point of this Heritage Foundation and some of the things they are trying to push. So I went through both of the articles and just broke down some of the main points. So they want to strengthen the American family, and then they want to have marriage camps, is what they call it, for unmarried people and people like couples that already have maybe at least two children, it seems. And these camps are supposed to basically be for you to kind of encourage marriage, and I'm sure they counsel you in some way. The foundation has other policies as well, including those designed to encourage people to marry young and forego education in favor of starting a family. So this foundation is basically trying to push for families and kind of discourage, rooting for that career path that people sometimes take. So these boot camps, these marriage boot camps, would prepare couples for marriage with a communal wedding ceremony and a financial reward for completion of the program. Couples would also have mentors to help them through married life. So it seems like that not only are they trying to get couples who are unmarried to go through the boot camp, with the end result of the boot camp being marriage, and then you get financial compensation, it seems like they are also trying to help couples who are already married by also offering a level of mentorship and counseling. Interesting. Okay, so the document emphasizes policy geared towards two-parent heterosexual families. It discourages online dating and meeting people online. And part of the reason they're discouraging this is because they said that when you meet online, you're less likely to even get married anyway, I guess based on the statistics. Okay, another thing that they're including is there will be a recommendation of a creation of savings accounts, similar to Trump accounts, created for newborns, which would be issued to couples who marry before the age of 30, with an initial deposit of $2,500 over 3 years. It also proposes additional tax credits for families where one spouse stays at home to care for children. So they're also pushing for people to have larger families. The group advocates for a push for more religion as well, noting that families in religious communities often have more children. And it objects to attitudes where people seek to find fulfillment through careers and achievements, and instead pushes people to prioritize having families. Another thing they're trying to do, which I was like, this is the first thing that came to my mind, okay, you want people to have more children, but everything is so expensive. So in the article, they said that they're also trying to increase affordability of housing and childcare as well. So yeah, those are like basically, I just wanted to do a rundown of all the points in the article and then kind of break down my opinion of why I think this is happening and what could be going on. So ever since we've been in this administration, we all know that there has been more of a push towards conservatism. I'm not going to lie and pretend that, the marriage rates are great or that, we don't have issues in dating in America. It's tough. There's a lot of people that not only can they not find partners, there's a lot of people that also don't really want to get married. They're not really looking for that traditional outcome with a family and children. And there's nothing wrong with that. So I don't understand, because I'm like, is it by force? Like, why force people to try and do things they don't want to do? I get that they're trying to encourage people to have more families. I like the idea of mentoring people that are already in relationships, couples that are married and have children. I think that those services are great. But what is the push towards almost incentivizing people who take the path of having children? I find that strange, because once you start to incentivize it by providing compensation, like how they said when you complete the boot camp, you will get compensated. Or when you have a child, you will get compensated for that child for the 3 years. Like, why add, like, you can tell that there's like an extreme push towards just trying to have families, religion, children, and then the career is just supposed to take a back. So guys, it doesn't make any sense to me. And the reason this really doesn't make any sense to me is because the way the cost of things are going up and have been going up for years is insane. And people's wages have not gone up to match that. I don't understand, because all I see everywhere, right, is people aren't having children. People aren't procreating. The divorce rates are so high. People are having kids out of wedlock or not having kids at all. And in my mind, I'm like, why would you fault somebody for not wanting to be stressed the fuck out? Not that kids stress you out. That's not the point I'm trying to make. Well, they do. Respectfully, they do. But what I'm trying to say is the way the system is set up, it is not easy to afford to have a child in this country. Daycare is hella expensive. They make everything expensive, and they're talking in the article about how one parent needs to stay home. Are you going to compensate for that one parent to stay home? This article makes no fucking sense, because I'm like, I want to hear, what are you going to do to compensate for this life that you want Americans to have? You want one parent to be home. You want people to focus on having children and live in this la la land, like we don't have bills and other shit chasing us every single day. Like, be so for real. Like, I should have heard more about how they were going to compensate for this life that they want for Americans, to restore the American family. Okay, restore the American family. Let's start by decreasing the cost of daycare, increasing people's wages to compensate for the rising costs of housing and everything else that's gone up. Start there. Sorry, guys, I don't want to go on a rant, but it really irks me, because I'm like, okay, you want to build this ideal world where people have families, right? And like, that's great, right? You want to restore families, you want to make things better. But a big part of what is making people even, I think a big part of the problem is the rising cost of everything, right? Like, that is a big, big issue, right? It's so bad that people have children and the child is in daycare. Like, the parents cannot even fully spend time with their children because they're running to go make money. It's crazy. And then another thing I wanted to talk about is, I know that there's always this push towards including religion when it comes to going back to a sense of conservatism. Religion always plays a role in that. And we all know why, you know what I mean? Like, I find it interesting that they were saying people that are religious tend to have more children, and it's almost like there's this simplicity to that a little bit more, where you kind of have more of a goal of finding a partner, having kids, right? But they don't want to push that career. And what I don't understand is, you guys haven't changed the rising cost of everything in this country. Why are people running to go for their career? Why are people going to work and working as hard as they do in this country? There are reasons for that, So I'd love to know your guys' opinions. I want to also include some TikToks as well, because some people on TikTok had some commentary. Some people are actually comparing this situation to the Handmaid's Tale.
Children of faith from the beginning that has always been... It's not time yet. Tell her to go back. Go back!
I'm not sure if you guys ever watched that show. I did. And it is it's a dark show, okay? And the premise of it is basically it's a world where something happens and a lot of women, like majority of the women in the world cannot have children. So the birth rates decline rapidly. And there are like a handful of women left that are still fertile, that are able to have children. And obviously, like, procreation is a big part of life and, you know, why we're here. So what ends up happening is these women that can still bear children are known as handmaids. And so much of like they basically have no what is the word? You can just see how they're mistreated in so many ways and how they don't really have a voice. And it's very scary because in the show, things just take a very sharp turn towards like go back like 100, 200, 300 years where women didn't really have rights at all. They didn't have rights over their womb. They didn't have rights in so many ways, not the right to vote. Like it just takes you back to that era and you see just like how dark it can get so quickly. I don't think we're headed that direction. I hope to God we are not headed that direction. But I also understand people's sentiment of thinking that this reminds them of The Handmaid's Tale, right? Because sometimes it's like a trickle effect, right? A lot of times changes that are very, like, they don't just happen at once. They don't happen overnight. They happen in like increments, right? And now we're talking about marriage boot camps. So it's something to think about. But I just want to play this one TikTok that I saw and talk about it.
They're building camps so you guys can make them more white babies. Because I know they're not talking about me. The Heritage Foundation is putting billions of our dollars to camps to get people to basically like speed date and get married by the end of these camps. Their goals, they literally say, are to have more men and women from graduation of high school to have kids and be married and settle down. They want the birth rate to go back up. They want more white babies. No way they're talking about my kind of people. We don't want women to have jobs, any careers anymore because we need them to focus on the family, the home. That is the crux of the American society. It's all about this guise of family. Talking like you're Vin Diesel from Fast and Furious. Mind you, this is all because of the fact that they need workers. Because if you're going to deport and take out so many people from this country, they need their workers. And the birth rate is so low. And also for their agenda because there's not a lot of white babies. Like, white women are not having babies like they used to have babies anymore. So scary and weird because, like, not even being subtle about it anymore. They're not even being subtle. In fact, they were saying they're going to tax single people $17,000 a year after the age of 30 if they don't have children.
Yeah, so she makes some very interesting points in this TikTok. What kind of agenda really is this? So this is kind of the sentiment that I was hearing on TikTok, that people think that this is predominantly for white people to increase procreation among the white community. Another thing she mentioned was that they're deporting a lot of workers with ICE and everything that's happened in this administration. And because of that, they need more workers. So they need an increase in people having children and babies, which is also another possibility. I think that there's a lot of things that can be true at once. And I am not surprised by this, to be honest, because there have been a lot of things lately that just don't make any sense, you know? Let me know your guys' thoughts about this. I just had to make this video because I literally didn't think this was real. I thought that it was fake and somebody made it up. And then I was like, oh no, this is a thing. I mean, it doesn't mean that this is necessarily going to happen. These are all just things that have come to light because this is an initiative that they brought up again since like the midterms are coming up and everything like that. So I don't want anyone to think that this is actually going to happen, but there are talks about this. So it is a possibility, right? We do not know. I would love to hear your guys' opinions about what you think about this whole thing. I just had to share this article. Thank you guys so much for watching, and I'll talk to you next time. Bye.